Good Monday morning to you. This is Ann White. I am the founder of the Creating Calm Network, and I am also the co-host of Notes from Spirit with Nadya Schubert. And I'm laughing a little bit today because I used to live in St. Petersburg, Florida, where Nadya lives, and I moved to Sheboygan. And everyone says, "Oh, it's so dark in Sheboygan." It looks pretty light to me. Here's Nadya in St. Petersburg. Good morning, Nadya, from the dungeons of St. Petersburg.
You're going to pick on me for having no lights in my house.
Yeah, maybe you can get a few lights, flashlights or something.
Yeah, I thought it would be light enough because I have so many windows, but the windows face directions that really don't bring in a lot of light. So the only time I know about this is when we do our show, but I'm so glad to be here. It's been a while since we've done our show on live, and it's such a beautiful day. Everything just seems to be falling in place, and I did an amazing writing, a little bit longer than normal, that I'd like to share with the listeners, and we can discuss why it was so amazing, relating to other works that we do together.
Right, and it truly is, every writing has its own power and its own maybe inspiration, but this one to me was just, it's powerful, and I think it applies to practically every person on the planet, and I think it's true for practically every person on the planet. And it was funny because I was in St. Petersburg over the weekend, and I got to the airport and I was reading this writing in preparation for the show, and I called Nadya and I go, "Are you blown away by this writing?" And she goes, "Oh, I haven't read it yet." And that is part of the amazing thing about the work of Nadya Schubert, is that she is a spirit scribe. She goes into a trance, and this writing is a product of her average Sunday morning automatic writing. And Nadya, what does it take you? It takes you about 20 minutes. You go in, you write this, you print it, put it in the file, and go out for breakfast. So it's a surprise to you when we have these shows that we actually look at it and talk about it.
We look at and talk about it, but this one especially because we work together on other things, and this is a subject matter that we work together on. So when I called you back and said, I read the first 10 or 11 lines, oh my goodness, they really listen.
Yeah.
So Spirit really does listen to what we say, what we discuss, how we feel. And if, I work with some other people who are just beginning to do writing, not automatic writing, but semi-conscious writing, and she's bringing in amazing things, and she'll say things like, well, I'm not sure, in the beginning she would doubt what she was getting, as not being important, or all the things that I
Oops, we're losing Nadya a little bit. I think you're back. One of the things, and this is just a shameless plug, where we have been working on this has been in a coaching program that I have called Magnify Your Magnificent Self. And part of the coaching is really to step into your own authentic self, but you do it by believing in yourself. And when I was working with Nadya, she goes, "It's that simple. Just believe in yourself." And then that was the last session we had together, and then we get this writing. So I think, Nadya, without further ado, why don't we share this writing? And for our listeners, it's a longer writing. It is powerful, and what I'd like you to do is just maybe center yourself, take a couple deep breaths, and just listen and feel this message. And it is a note from the spirit realm, whether you call it God, spirit guides, Bob, I don't care what you call it. It is from the universal consciousness of our spirit guides. And just sit back and breathe it in. Nadya, I'll leave it up to you.
I think this one, too, as I'm going to start reading it, lets me feel that this is not obviously just for me, but it really does hit home for so many people.
Me too.
So let me begin. Yes. Thank you. As they say, do not believe in false prophets who can appear in any place at any time. And why would one believe in false prophets when the truth lives within yourselves? Yet it has happened over and over through time. For what really matters to most is that they want to believe in something more important than themselves. And therein lies the problem. Their lack of belief in, for truly you hold all the answers. You carry that knowing with you every day of your life. Yet you rarely connect with that higher part of your essence. You seem to drift away from yourself and choose to direct your trust and admiration to others. For it is easier for you to convince yourself that others know more, perhaps because they have a title, a higher education, more life experiences, or they earn more money than most. And yet, it is the simplest of men who could bring to you what is for your highest good without the need for reward. Their only reward is that you trust in yourself and appreciate that you can open that door to your own higher awareness if you allow yourself to do so. Your only limitation is the need to always be correct, proper, and never make a mistake. We will tell you that is a total falsity. As a material being, you are a reservoir of all the burdens that live within a human being. And we do not mean physical burdens. We mean all the emotional thinking that prevails to block your path of higher awareness. All those preconceived ideas, traditional rituals and guidelines, and most of all, how you are perceived in the public eye. We are not saying you should relieve yourself of all of these thoughts, for we understand the life you lead and the things you must accept in order to survive. We are always bringing to you the tools to allow yourself to open that door and not only see the light, we want you to feel the light. And when we say light, we mean all those pinpoints of life that are the energy fields of the lives of other physical beings who have lived before, choosing to bring to you the answers to all your questions and your needs. Yes, we are with you, always in our parallel world. We have chosen to be with you, to bring to you whatever you may need to prevail in your life with ease, confidence, and kindness for all those around you, to allow them to feel your concern for their well-being, to help you to share a part of yourself with them that comes from your heart, so that they will feel that heartfelt love and the desire.
Stop right there, Nadya. We've lost you. So that they will feel the heartfelt love, and then pick up from and the desire.
So they will feel, hold on. So that they will feel that heartfelt love and the desire to open their doors that have been closed for so long to do the same for themselves and those around them. You are but a part of a ripple effect in a limitless pond of life. For everything you act on, whether it is to be considered good or bad, ripples out to all those around you and affects them as well as yourself. And at some point, you will not even have to speak the words. They will feel where you are during the time they are with you. It is like a child licking a lollipop. They can close their eyes and still feel the taste of the sweetness of the candy. That is something we have been bringing to you through all these writings. Like the lollipop, you can close your eyes and learn to sense how that person who stands next to you feels, and will be able to encourage them to feel comfortable enough to share with you all that they are feeling. For it works both ways. You are sensing what they are feeling, and vice versa. And yet you do not have to touch, smell, see, or speak. It will just happen. And once that awareness begins to feel more comfortable within you, your desire to tap into your higher self on a daily basis will begin to develop, bringing you closer to the knowing on a more consistent level, bringing to you the peace and the love and the balance to withstand all that comes before you. It is our greatest desire to connect with as many of you as we can, to help bring the peace and tranquility into your lives, to help you with your struggles and despair, bringing you to a higher level of grace so that you can feel the love and allow yourself to release the challenges that are with you each and every day. And you will begin to understand the difference and how it feels and will want to alleviate more of the minutia and embrace your bigger picture more clearly and more comfortably than ever before. It can be a bumpy ride, yet we can promise you it will become smoother and more accessible as you continue to tap into the light within you and allow the flame to grow bigger and brighter, bringing the love within you to the surface, and feel the need to encourage all those around you to do the same. Do not be driven to decide you want to do this all at one time. Allow yourself to permeate the space around you with all those energies who walk with you on your path, and take your time to just feel the difference in your day when you do this. Gradually, you will want to do this more often, building slowly the tools to help you to reach your goal, that of being the person everyone who meets you says, "I just love being with you. I'm not sure why. I just know that I feel good when we're together, and for no apparent reason." That is when you will know, as a student does, that they have achieved the grades needed to pass their course and move on to the next level. That is what all of this is truly. That is what all of this is truly. Moving from one level to another slowly and using the steps needed to get there, with the promise that once they get there, they will move again to the next level, always productively and with success. Some levels may take longer than others, and yet there is no one way to do this, for you are all different in your concepts and visions, and so it will depend on the number of blocks you carry with you and how many of them you can release and leave behind, so that you will feel light enough to move forward. That is our goal, to help you to move forward and be productive on a higher level than you live on at this moment in time, and achieve success in paying it forward. We wish all those who are mothers a wonderful day of feeling appreciated by their children, as well as letting their children know how grateful they are for being in their lives.
Wow, they even figured it was Mother's Day. I didn't catch that last time.
Hey, and that's what they closed it with that. And you know, I noticed as I'm reading, you know, there are words in my writings that I wouldn't normally use, and when they say bringing you to a higher level of grace is something I don't think I've ever said or used the word grace in any way. And also, I wanted to ask you how you would explain when they talk about allowing the light within you, tap into the light within you, allow the flame to grow bigger. Obviously, this is a metaphor, or what would be a word for that? I mean, there's no real flame in your body, but we are talking about, can you give me some words on that? Because I'm trying to explain to people, there's nothing you can really see, it's more what you really feel.
Right. And I think they even tell us that, too, because they say with the light, we open the door not only to see the light, but that's what you're saying, but we want you to feel it. And then they even, what I liked about this writing is they even explain what that light is, because they're speaking in words that are human. They have to, because we're human. So this is like, I call it maybe a godlike concept or divine concept that in their realm they don't need to explain. So in bringing it to us, they explain it in words that we would understand, or concepts. So we understand the concept of a candle or of a fire, and of it burning bright, and of it going down into a little ember. And they tell us what the light is. It's the energy fields of the lives of the other physical beings who have lived before us, choosing to bring us answers to all of our needs.
And the way I'm thinking of it is that white light, and this is white light I'm talking about, is filled with all colors to get to the white light. And each of those colors, let's say, represents a certain person that has offered to come back and help others. We call them guides, whatever. And that person has certain gifts reflecting that color that they're carrying.
And also, if you're thinking of light too as aura, some people see auras. It's rarely that I do, but it's an energy source, and we are all made out of energy, and that's where part of this is so amazing. Is once we, and this is something that science already knows, so it's not like woo metaphysical stuff, but we are energy, and energy sometimes produces different lights. In that sense. What were you going to say, Nadia?
You're freezing up. I didn't hear what you said before.
Okay.
I'm not. Okay.
So I was just talking about how light and energy are the same. This writing to me, too, is so significant that I don't want people to get hung up in the semantics. So for people like Nadia and I who believe in spirit guides and the spirit realm and those guides who have gone and lived before us, who are with us and guide us, that works. If your belief is in a God and angels, think of it as guardian angels who are helping you, or God answering your prayers, or God being with you at all times. Those who believe in a higher power, this is what we're talking about. That higher power that is the guide, that is nudging and loving and encouraging. So I don't want anyone to get caught up in semantics and close their mind to some very beautiful ideas. In fact, Nadia, I think this writing is something that I'd like to put on your Facebook page so other people can just get the feeling of it, because it really exemplifies how spirit works with us and what they want for us. So I'd like to put it on your Facebook page, which is called Notes from Spirit, or Note from Spirit. And if anybody wants to find it there, I'll put it there so they can just, it's almost like a, what's the word, primer or primer, the very first step in really feeling that knowing, don't you think?
Right, and I like the way they talk about taking the steps. It's all about taking the steps. Unlike me, who leaped from nothing to something when I got started with these writing, there were no steps for me. It was either nothing or I was actually going to just start writing, which is what I did, but at the encouragement of Vicki White, my teacher, who told me that they told her that they wanted me to write, and played with it for some months, kind of thinking it was ridiculous, and then when they sat down and it just all spilled out. I don't know if that works for everybody, but that's the way it works for me. But taking the steps in just even understanding it, it took me years to really understand and feel all that I write about. I mean, years. It wasn't just an automatic where I accepted it, because to me, it was so, what's the word, conceptual, that it didn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how could this really happen? And why would they want me to write if they know everything? You know, I've just had a very skewed idea of all this. Yet, I always knew that there was something out there that was, as they said, more important or bigger than I was, and I wanted to learn about it. Right. And thank goodness I found Vicki, because there's not really too many people out there who are willing to teach you what it's all about in steps.
Our teacher, Vicki White, it can be found. Is her Spirituals? Is that her website, spirituals.com?
At hotwire.com. Or she can look it up on my website, www.nadyaschubert.com. She's on there.
And Vicki White, who's no relation to me, taught both of us, but I studied briefly with her, and Nadia is still studying with her and opening up all sorts of wonderful doors. One of the things at the very beginning, when they talk about us not believing in ourselves, how many of us believe in experts? You know, oh, they're on television, it must be true. Or they have so many degrees, they must be right. Or they're so rich, they've got to be have all the answers. And I know for one of the things for me is that I kept getting degrees because I don't think I really believed in myself. So I needed another degree to prove it to myself. And my alphabet got so big after my name, and then one day I realized I already know it. I don't need another degree. Of course, the other thing that helped me, Nadia, was every degree I got, I earned less money. So if I got one more degree, I'd be paying somebody to work for them. So. But it was the realization that that's not where it is. It's already within us.
Mm-hmm. But you need it. But that's what society wants of you, and we live in society, and so we have to prove not only to society but to ourselves, oh, we can go out and do that. And if we do, then we're going to be more accepted by what society's standards are to be accepted.
But it may even be the degree. Right. It is ourselves, and we have that knowledge within us, ready to just, once we trust it.
You know, it's like the person I talked to once at a gas station had more profound things came out of this man's mouth than any educator I've ever met. I mean, it was just amazing. I actually took notes while I said, if you don't mind, I'm going in my car. I have to take some notes. It's just a average person. It doesn't make any difference who you are. You're going to connect no matter who you are. How clearly it comes through is up to you. Because like they said, with your perceptions and the way we process and all the other stuff, we kind of color what we get, questioning or testing or whatever. It may not be as pure until you finally resolve yourself to the fact that this is coming from a different place in you, through you, and just let it come through without trying to make it perfect in your mind.
And what the word they use throughout all the writings is you get a knowing. And be aware and be open to this knowing. You know, you may have a prayer, you may be asking for help, and then all of a sudden your answer will come to you as just a knowing that this is the right path, this is the way things are. And I think we want things more concrete because we don't trust ourselves. So part of believing in ourselves is just accepting the knowing. And
when you say the knowing, for me, the knowing started very early, and when it did, it was the difference about how I felt when I started the writing and how it felt when I stopped writing and read the writing and started feeling what the writing was bringing to me. And not necessarily the thoughts of the words, but how the vibration of the words were beginning to feel to me. My body actually felt prickly, or I would get some kind of shooting, what's the word I'm trying to think of, chills running through my arms. Mm-hmm. Or I would be talking about the writing to somebody, and again, that would affect my body. And even when I read the writing now, I have to work very hard to stay conscious and not to go into the writing because of the vibration that it's bringing me. And that's the knowing. When you feel different, you know that it's the truth, and it comes from truth. I don't know how else to explain it.
Well, one of the good clues you said, though, and that's why Vicki White's moniker is like spirit chills. Sometimes when you get a thought or maybe make a comment, all your little hairs stand up, and it's, okay, I'm just getting some now. But they're like what they used to call goose pimples or duck bumps, but really those spirit chills. And there are times when you're talking to other people who are maybe psychic, like sometimes when Nadya and I talk, and all of a sudden it's okay, we got it. And they send it to you in a sense that you can actually feel it like a shiver. Sometimes I feel it like a little wind, but mostly it's the shiver too, that you know.
It's their confirmation that they're there, that's all. It's just a confirmation, and it could be something that you know to be true to begin with, but somehow, whatever vibe you're on, and your vibration changes all the time, that vibe could just reach out and touch something that comes to you through that other vibe, and boom, you've got your goosebumps going. Say, wow, what was that? And know that you don't have to be afraid of it. That's a good thing.
Right. And oftentimes it's the answer to a question that you've been working on, that you all of a sudden just get this download. Oh, that's the right thing. That's the answer. So trust in it. Trust in yourself that you've just, you can believe in yourself because you've just been helped by Spirit to get the answer.
And thank them because they like to be validated.
Thank you is good. And that I used to tease when I was working at the hospital how I would ask for a parking place, and then I would be thanking, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I thought, look at that crazy lady talking to the parking meter. But I really wasn't. I wanted to go on, too, to the part that they said one of the reasons we don't believe in ourselves is because we want to always be correct, proper, and not make mistakes. And they went on to say, as a material being, and they use that instead of human beings because our energy is denser. So a spirit being has very light energy. Ours is very denser. So as a material being, you are a reservoir of all the burdens that live within your human being, emotional thinking that sometimes blocks. And I like to think of that as the fertilizer. They're not saying get rid of all of that stuff. They're saying realize when it blocks and then open it and be able to receive. So I think I like that awareness that we are part of all of our mistakes and all of the foibles, because there really aren't mistakes. It's just part of our learning and our fertilizer.
Well, it's just like when I read something now, and a couple of times I started over and read it again. It didn't upset me. But if it was a year ago or a year and a half ago, I probably would have said, well, can we just do this whole thing over again? Because, But that's part of being a human being. We're not perfect. They don't want us to be perfect. They just want us to be more balanced in almost everything we do, which is probably an impossibility. But at least we can touch on it, and it feels good when it happens.
Right, because I don't think we could really live like that in this realm, or we would be a little Christian.
You're a monk in Tibet, living on a mountain somewhere where you have to be pulled up in a wicker basket. Yeah.
Yeah, but that isn't life. They also say that they want us to get rid of the minutia, and so you think of that in our terms, it's don't sweat the small stuff. But they say the more we can alleviate the minutia and embrace the bigger picture and tap into that light within. And I think, the more I am thinking about it, that is the best way they can translate the feeling into human language, is light, because light is powerful and it illuminates our path.
Well, I wonder if that's the way the Bible, coming from the Bible or not, or it's just religious, but when they say God created you in his image or something like that, you're created in God's image. So if that's those words for those people that are religious, Spirit's saying, go to the light within you, your higher awareness, which would be godlike to have higher awareness.
Exactly. Even in the Bible, they say, be the light unto the nations. And that's what they're talking about here. Take your light and share it with the person next to you, and then it'll have that ripple effect. And it also says the ripples can be positive or negative. And if you've probably ever shared a house or been in a workplace with someone who's having a terrible, rummy, nasty day, they can ripple the negative and recognize everybody, just as we can share that light by smiling and sharing love with everybody. So they recognize that ripple.
And, also, the idea of paying it forward. They're always talking about paying it forward. In other words, when you start getting it, share it, because that's what it's all about, paying it forward, so rippling out in a positive manner.
Yeah. And another part of this, like I say, this is just a treasure trove for me, but for all of us. But another part I like is learn to sense how that person who stands next to you feels. And you'll be able to encourage them to feel comfortable enough to share with you what they're really feeling. And
so talk about your auto accident when the
I was just thinking of that. And it's also, prior to moving here, I was a trauma chaplain, a chaplain in a hospital. And some nights I would just open up to that light, and I would walk down the hall of the hospital, and I would feel what rooms I needed to get drawn into. And it was, I don't think it was ever a mistake. I would be drawn into a room with maybe a person in tears or someone who had just gotten a diagnosis. So by letting Spirit give that nudge. But the auto accident that I was also thinking about was I was in one where I was hit from the back, a rear ender, and I got out of the car and there was a young girl there, and just by feeling how she was feeling, I just said to her, do you need a hug? And when I hugged her, all of her sadness came out. She was in a bad relationship, and the accident wasn't an accident. I think Spirit knew we had to connect. This person needed to be loved and balanced for that moment. So I was able to kind of help her to breathe and get into her balance, and just a few moments. But I think she just needed someone to love her then. So that whole thing wasn't an accident. It was Spirit saying, here, go bump into this chaplain. She'll take care of you.
Well, on TV there's a new show called Believe, and it's about a young girl who's skilled telepathically at knowing what needs to be done for other people, amongst other gifts that she has. But just the idea that they're calling it telepathically, like she'll be in a situation, but off in the back she'll see someone and she'll know that that person needs her to help her in some way. So is this telepathically? Because someone said, well, what's the word? What's the word? What would you call it? Connecting. But is this telepathically, literally, physiologically, telepathically, or is it something even different?
Yeah. And don't you think it's just that energy, the vibration of someone's energy? Because I know, Nadia, you're very, very attuned to it. So sometimes we'll be at a restaurant, and if the person's energy is too strong in a positive way, I almost see you like go into your trance. Or if the energy is too negative, I have to see you, how you have to protect yourself. So you're very aware of the energies of other people that you're around.
Oh, yeah, there are times where I can't even sit in a restaurant in a certain booth. I have to move.
Yeah.
And people understand that now.
Yeah. Or times when
and
you just fog over and there she goes.
or that. But usually, you know, they used to laugh in the beginning, but ultimately it would wind up where I would find out something about the person that I didn't want to sit next to, that I didn't know, and through someone else, or through at the end of the day, or when we're leaving the restaurant, it comes full circle and lets me know, you know, this woman's getting divorced and her husband's cheating on her, or someone just died, or whatever the case might be. And I felt it so strongly that I didn't want to eat lunch next to her because I wouldn't enjoy myself.
Yeah. I know sometimes when I'm in a restaurant and they'll bring me to a seat, I say, oh, I think I need another one. And, you know, I can't explain, the vibrational energy is too big here. I have to go. Can we try this table? You know?
Right. But I'm so low on my energy right now on my computer, I'm going to tap out unless you let me move into my office. Or we can.
What I think we're going to do is just go ahead and end the show. It's been beautiful, and I'm going to post this on your on your Facebook page, Note from Spirit, and share it with people. And Nadia, thank you so much for the work that you do. And I'm going to send you a link to get a light, because somebody would like to see you not looking like you're from Transylvania.
My pleasure. I will do that. I promise. I'll just have to find it somewhere in this house. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. And thank you for tuning in to the Creating Calm Network, Notes from Spirit. And you can find this writing on Nadia's page, Note from Spirit. And also you can find her work on our website, the Creating Calm Network website. If you want to look at the entire website, it's creatingcalmnetwork.com. Her page is Nadya, N-A-D-Y-A, creatingcalmnetwork.com. So tune in. You can look at some of her other writings. And as a rabbi and a chaplain and someone who's with people who pray to God, know that translate, whether we call it God or Spirit, it's that same loving energy. And feel the message and the vibration as I sit here and rub my spirit bumps. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. The reason we weren't here last week is Nadia got married. You know, we have to take a break for a wedding now and then. So take care and have a beautiful, beautiful week. Much love and many blessings.